street.
Scott,
So
you and your family, you are in an apartment building. You and your family, you would be fine with.
that is not a reasonable enforcement position.
There's another option here, and it's actually an option that's utilized by law enforcement every single day in this country. When they are looking for violent people, they go look for those violent people. They do not subject the people around those violent people who have nothing to do with them. We have to simplify things so that we actually understand what we're talking about.
You are vastly oversimplifying what's happening here. There are scores of illegal immigrants in the building.
Welcome back to the Revardo Show, and do we have a show for you today? Do we? Of course we do, and on today's episode, we're going to be kicking things off with Scott Jennings over there on CNN, dropping off pure logic, and he's going to be making CNN face the reality on what these ICE raids are really about and illegal immigration. Okay, we're going to break it all down. Facts don't care about party lines, and we're going to prove it on the Revardo Show. Let's roll it.
Used to be training grounds, and ICE listened. In Chicago, in the middle of the night, federal agents stormed an apartment building. Black Hawk helicopters, flashbangs, military-style trucks, all used in the raid. Now, witnesses say everyone was detained, no matter their status. Children were zip-tied together, separated from their parents. And the feds say that they arrested dozens of gang members. Also in the city, Charlie Kirk's group was given a front-row seat to a raid inside a Walmart.
Amazing. Secretary Noem was here. They rolled up a couple of guys, and it's rowdy. There's a lot of people around. Everyone's filming. The Secretary of Homeland Security is right now doing raids at Walmart.
So, as forewarned, I mean, we have a situation in which American cities are at the center of this ICE crackdown, and there's indiscriminate use of force against Americans, non-Americans, people here legally, people here illegally. And on the right, nobody seems to care. In fact, they love it.
I saw a video from a local station in Chicago, and residents...
All right, so before he gets started, before he says anything, I already know where he's going by the way his head is tilted and his chain is on during a professional conversation and environment and setting. What they're trying to spin already at this table is gang members getting arrested that are American citizens. Okay, so gang members are being arrested. People that do crime, they're being arrested. It seems like ICE is doing their job because maybe, just maybe, those are real criminals. Possibly. I just wanted to get that out of the way before this idiot gets started. Let's go.
Of a community there were describing an ICE raid and like what they saw. Two things struck me. One, they were talking about things that happened to them. They were talking about how they were treated in this ICE raid. These are the people that, I guess, by virtue of being born here in America, are entitled to being treated like human beings. The second thing is that they were all black. And I'm going to say something. We saw this coming. We knew the neighborhoods where these ICE...
I can't. Nope. I won't let him do that. First of all, like I said before, they were going to try to spin it and make it like these criminals are supposed to be left alone. These are criminals. These are everyday criminals messing with everyday Americans, or at least coexisting with everyday Americans that are just relaxing, trying to pay their bills and have fun with their kids in public without being harassed and maybe shot at, robbed, mobbed, or raped or anything. Those are just aspectual general circumstances that everyday Americans don't want to encounter. So we're going to handle the criminals that are around, even if they aren't a part of Trende Aragua. If you have a warrant, you will be arrested. That's right. Plain and simple. Let's roll it.
Raids would take place. We knew that a lot of these things wouldn't happen in Beverly Hills or in Coconut Grove or any of those places like that. We knew that there would be collateral damage, that there would be trauma that would be inflicted on our communities. We knew that people would be detained, scared. We knew that children would have to see things that they shouldn't have to see. And all of this for political theater so that we look.
And we could also talk about children seeing things that they don't have to see. On a daily basis in America, children see things that they are not supposed to see. Now, we could talk about transgender rights. We could talk about the cartoons on Netflix. We could talk about the Charlie Kirk video. We could talk about a lot of things that children are not supposed to see. We could talk about YouTube. We could talk about the games they're playing. We can talk about the apps, not just TikTok. We can talk about every single thing that kids are not supposed to be doing that they are currently doing. But you guys are expanding the lies and the spin and not focusing on the actual truth and the problem at hand. Let's focus.
Tough on immigration for everyone. It's a horror show. And I do think if it hasn't already happened, that it'll be something that even the most conservative of Americans will get tired of seeing human beings treated this way. At least that's my hope.
We are tired of human beings being treated the way that Trende Aragua are treating them. We are tired of crime in the streets. We are tired of the riots that are not just violent, but they're outrageously despicable. And it's beyond the law enforcement to even get involved, it seems like. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're on the side of the criminals. Maybe they're part of Antifa. Maybe they're paying Antifa. We don't know because they're not getting involved. This is what we're talking about, guy with the black hat on and the chain. This is what we're talking about. Let's get focused on the actual problem at hand.
The one neighbor said the kids were crying. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they were bringing kids down too, had them zip tied to each other, saying that there were trucks, military-style vans used to separate adults from kids. What's going on?
I haven't seen any of this, so I certainly am not aware of particular neighborhoods that are targeted. Obviously, I support them finding and arresting people who are here illegally. And in the community they're in, again, I can't justify, I haven't seen which communities that they're targeting.
Well, one detail that's been left out is that they were targeting Trende Aragua. And so Trende Aragua is a violent transnational gang. They send illegal immigrants here to the United States. They traffic drugs, they traffic people, they commit violence.
This is the calm before the storm. Scott Jennings is concisely delivering the truth, currently, calmly, and concisely. Pay attention.
They inflict misery everywhere they go, and 37 people were arrested. That was the purpose of the raid, the targeting of Trende Aragua, some of the most violent people in our hemisphere, and when they come here, nothing good happens. That was
okay, so if it was targeting, I don't think anybody has a problem with targeting. Right. When you clear out an apartment building and you zip tie children and you arrest and detain everyone. Scott, hold on, Scott, you and me, we're talking here, okay? If they arrest children, they arrest everyone, citizens and non-citizens, for hours, detain them, deprive them of their liberty, for no matter how long. You are fine with that.
They didn't arrest children, but...
This is the emotional counter that Abby always brings to the table. We're not talking about emotions currently. We're talking about outcomes, all right? Abby, let's focus on the actual problems at hand.
I didn't say they arrested them. They put them in zip ties. But if that makes a difference to you, go ahead.
Here's what makes a difference to me. If the federal government knows that there is a nest of Trende Aragua in a city like Chicago, they have a responsibility. They have an obligation to go get them. It is unfortunate, to answer your question, that there are children put in harm's way by these violent gangs. But that is going to be the reality.
Or is it unfortunate or is it a violation of...
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the law enforcement that are currently there aren't doing their job. So currently, we're having kids already in harm's way, and the law enforcement are not doing their job on that aspect in general. Now, the consequences are ICE having to come in and adjudicate the situation properly because law enforcement, they're not doing their job. That's the consequence that they have to pay due to their police around their community not doing their job. Now, ICE has to do their job for them. Roll it.
Their rights is the question. Because, I mean, in this country, we have rights against searches and illegal searches and
you're suggesting these children should be effectively human shields for Trende Aragua, and I don't agree with
what I'm asking, hold on, I want to make it clear. I know that Trende Aragua and gangs and whatever, it's a catch-all to treat people however you want, to go in there and shred the Constitution or whatever else it is that you want to do. What I'm asking you is this. Do you think that children should have been zip-tied and pulled out of an apartment complex and traumatized like that? Yes or no?
I don't think children should be put in harm's way by transnational gangs.
Just answer the question. Yes or no? Do you think that children?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
I'm asking
the
you
government's not
whether or
putting
not,
children in harm's way. Trende Aragua.
Real calm now. Real calm. Like
They're the ones putting children in harm's way.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, we have a responsibility for the way we treat people with the power that we have here in America. And we have a standard that we should treat human life with. And I'm asking you very clearly, concisely, should children be treated that way? Does Scott Jennings like that?
I don't accept the premise of your question.
All right, cool.
I don't believe that the premise of your question is accurate. I would ask you back. Should children be allowed to live in an apartment building with Trende Aragua?
Scott Jennings has a masterful way of flipping the question right back on the panel. Now, the guy asks him a question, should kids be in harm's way? Scott reverses that question and asks it right back to him. Should kids be in harm's way? No, they should not be in harm's way, so we have to adjudicate. We have to eradicate. We have to disassemble Trende Aragua in order to have peace in the community. We don't have to guess anymore because we were obviously guessing with the current policing in the community. Roll it.
The entire community of Chicago have to live with Trende Aragua because they hide behind these children.
But here's the thing.
That's my question.
I think the answer to that is clear. No, they should not be put in harm's way. But the difference is in this situation is I don't want to be Trende Aragua. I don't want my law enforcement to act like Trende Aragua. That is the distinction.
You don't want to leave it? Do you just want to leave it and say, well, they have kids in there, let's just move on?
No, but can't law enforcement figure out a way? I don't think this is the first time children have been in an environment where dangerous people have been around them. And I'm most certain that in most of those circumstances, those children aren't zip tied and carried out like animals. What I am wondering is, okay, let's put this fact pattern on any other placement. Let's put it on a school, right? What if there was a gang member in a school? And by this calculation, it would seem like the children in the school, in order to get that one gang member or two gang members,
would get.
It's not one gang member. It's 37 people
let's say there's
Scott, it's a large apartment building. That's part of the fact pattern here. I mean, here's another one from our reporting. Tenants said it appears everyone in the building was detained by federal officers, including U.S. citizens. It was scary, said one, because I had never had a gun in my face. That person lives in the building. They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me, did I have any warrants? I told them, no, I didn't. Fisher, this person says, she was handcuffed anyway before being released around 3 a.m. and was told anyone with outstanding warrants, even if it was unrelated to immigration, would.
That sounds like due process to me. It's a situation that has to be detained, figured out, investigated, and carried out in a peaceful way that's organized by law enforcement. That's usually the process. I don't understand what's going on and why she's confused that she was in a process of being saved. You were being brought out of a dangerous situation. Could you not wait until 3 a.m. for that process? Roll it.
Not be released. So people live in apartment buildings all over this country.
I promise that.
Is that where you should go?
Wait a second.
Should I just go to an apartment building and hide?
Wait. I'm talking about the way that citizen of this country was treated. By the way,
this guy has a lot of his mom in him, so please excuse him as he expresses the femininity inside.
I just want to be clear.
This is by verbs, predicates, and nouns, not just expressions of body language. This is what he's going to say and how he's going to distribute his emotions. He gets that from his mom.
I think that everybody that's created in the image of God should be treated with respect. And I thought that part of the American ideal was that, but that's gone. I promise y'all will still be invited to Mar-a-Lago if you say that it is wrong that children were zip-tied and that American citizens were detained without any warrant or suspicion.
Briefly detained? In an effort to get 37 Trende Aragua members?
So tell me.
What you're suggesting is that no enforcement
would you be okay being detained so that the gang members, would you be okay with your rights being violated and you be held until 3 a.m. with your family member not knowing why? Is that okay? Because that's not okay with me.
Everybody here seems to believe that if you're Trende Aragua, you can go hide in an apartment building, and because there are other people there, you just get to be left alone. That is not a reasonable enforcement position.
There's another option here, and it's actually an option that's utilized by law enforcement every single day in this country. When they are looking for violent people, they go look for those violent people. They do not subject the people around those violent people who have nothing to do with them with arrest, with guns in their faces, with being searched, with being zip-tied and handcuffed and detained. Every day in America, law enforcement does their jobs, and they don't do it like this. So why is suddenly this okay?
Every day in America, you're not necessarily dealing with the most violent people in the hemisphere.
Yes,
we're not.
That's
so
who is living in these cities.
Scott, there are violent people who are right here in this country, American citizens. They are in gangs. They were born here. Their parents were born here. Their grandparents were born here.
Believe me, we know.
Those people are dealt with by law enforcement every day. Again, it's a real basic question. If you lived in an apartment building and there happened to be somebody who was guilty of a terrible crime in that building, and law enforcement barged in, guns blazing, and put every single person in that apartment building under arrest, you would be fine with that.
But you're...
Okay, so first of all, guns were not blazing. I don't even know what Wild Wild West movie she was watching. Abby, stop inflating the topic, okay? So now let's talk about the fact that Trende Aragua, I don't even know the Agua, were out here doing crime. They were doing their due diligence in the community with no consequence. So then ICE brings in the consequence, and they help protect the citizens in that environment, in the area where Trende Aragua is most predominantly found, in that neighborhood. What they're lacking to understand is the law enforcement that was there wasn't doing their job. They're lackadaisical on crime. So because of that, ICE has to come in and do their job and do their due diligence so that the community can continue to be safe. This is hard to understand somehow for the Democrats and for the left-wing media, including Abby. They bring the spin and emotions. They forget the consequences, and they also forget common courtesy. And the courteous thing to do is to protect the citizens in the community, including those little children. Even if they have to be zip-tied for a moment. That's the future of peace and stability in their community. This is what they're trying to pass down or water down. The violence in the community is being approached. And they're having to be accountable for the violence. Now, the law enforcement in the community they're not going to be accountable. They seem to be working against the ICE agents and against the peace and the stability in the neighborhood. So because of that, like I said before, they have to take extra necessary precautions. Those extra necessary precautions that they have never done before are going to create different results that they have never seen. I promise. Watch. The mission is to get rid of violence. Trende Aragua, people with warrants, people that are doing crack, that are doing drugs, holding guns, harboring fugitives. That's consistent of crime and criminals in the community that have to be extinguished. All right, I wanted to cover that because those things from those violent offenders are traumatizing families, not the fact that they're being zip-tied. They're having to be cautious of maybe possibly being raped one day, all right? Or taken hostage and sent across to another country. This is the seriousness of the situation and of the topic. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now. Do you agree with Scott Jennings and the common sense and logic that he brings to the table with the composure and the concise information that cannot be disputed because there are facts? Do you agree with those facts? That Trende Aragua have to be eradicated and extinguished. And the only way to do that is due process by separating the children from the mothers, zip tying them for a little bit, which we don't have to put any emotions in that at all because the consequences of the law enforcement that are currently there stationed daily to do their job, they don't do at all. These are policemen that are employed by the citizens of that state and that city to do their job. They're employed to protect the citizens in the community, but they're not doing that. So because they're not doing that, we're going to have ICE to come in, and they're going to do their job. And it seems to be working. When you get the criminals out, when you get the guys with the warrants or the girls with the warrants, along with the Trende Aragua, felons and criminals and rapists, when you get those guys and gals out of the way, you're eliminating crime essentially all in one stop. This is not about keeping the criminals that you have to separate from the Trende. They are all criminals. So go ahead and put them in a bucket. Let the non-criminals go. Police and protect the citizens. And that's your job. That's my take. But do you agree with Scott Jennings or do you agree with CNN? That they should just be soft on the crime and quietly walk around and tiptoe and make sure you separate the Trende Aguas from the violent criminals that are already here and they're citizens. I say the criminals are criminals, and whether they're citizens or non-citizens, then they're criminals. The violent criminals with warrants, criminals that run a stop, they're criminals. And if they're looking for those criminals, they found them. But let me know what you think about that. Drop your comments in the comment section below. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, be strong, be vigilant, pray without ceasing, and keep a song in your heart. And as always, I love you. And you know I do.